Hi, this is Rich and Agvila, and we're going to do a deep dive scan session for Jody.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of the things that you're going to look into? Just generally
Yeah.
overview.
Well, the known issues or the known stuff about her is like the fear of male domination, wanting approval, and just like some hard stuff in life, I guess.
Okay. So you were checking earlier, looking into this, and you got some pretty good reads on what?
Yeah, I was doing a few testings. So first thing is like right now she's the one that will try to take the more dominant role, like having to feel competitive, and she'll be the person who's uh, trying to make it her way. So that's one thing. But then like I was checking, like I found a few anti-clusters, and it seemed like those anti-clusters are the ones that that want to dominate, and they're trying to dominate Jody, and they have the same feelings or like same thoughts and stuff, which she intuitively feels and becomes that, even though she is not, so to speak.
Yeah.
And previously we were trying to do a session, but because of interruptions to my skills and stuff, we never finished it, so we're restarting the whole work. We also were looking into the past lives where she was like, dominated by other people, being suppressed, and also we had the thing with where we saw Jodie basically in a spaceship. The spaceship is like, I think it was connected to Lawrence or somewhere in it. And as the spaceship was landing in a place, the whole crew was mainly out of males. Because if there's 100 people in the crew, there's only 8 women and 92 guys. And I found out they have they're carrying these incubators with babies and stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
the idea is to colonize the planet, or just like live there and stuff. And through it all, like the crew, at least the mm, guys in there, they're more suppressive. They're trying to gain the control. They're really harsh. There were some like sexual molestation or assaults or whatever you would call it. And Jodie was the one that was being abused, was as well as other women, but she was the one like that had the most intellect in there, like had the brain power and all. And she's like the wisest of the whole crew and knew way more about landing in the place where they're going, because it was once in her other past lives it was her hometown, and so she knows the planet where they're going and stuff. And with it all, they land and no one's listening to her, like the crew is not listening to her, and she's basically, she knows way more and no one's listening to her, and she like constantly has to fight for what's right, like in her world, because hey, if we do it my way, it's gonna come out right, and no one's listening because everyone's like, hey, I have a higher post, I know better, and stuff. So that was like sort of the things like we looked at before, but we never finished the session. So I'm just like sort of
Mm-hmm.
retelling the story or whatever.
Yeah. So we got some really good reads on these entities, this entity clusters,
Yeah.
talking to her and dominating her, and real good reads on the, being on the spacecraft, and we revisit that and take another scanner, look closer, and continue.
Yeah. So right now, since I told like the previous story and we know what happened, right now I'm gonna do the scan on her body again and the surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Look at her body, see if there's any anti-clusters, breaks in energy fields or whatever. Target that, and from then go into past lives, which will probably include this experience that regarding the spaceship and like the suppressive crew.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Start.
Okay. So I'm scanning the body, and like it seemed like the main clusters around her head,
Mm-hmm.
like more in the top place, like forehead and the sides and stuff, and then on like this kind of clear and lower stomach areas also has a cluster of entities. So I will get on removing them and also see relations, like how are they affecting her. What's the story with that?
Great.
Yeah, I'm looking at this cluster of entities, and they're the ones that also have this fear of male domination, and specifically reptilians, because they're the head, like sort of in the hierarchy they go higher, and they're the ones that are like suppressing these beings, telling them what to do, and they're really afraid because they're like threatened, like, hey, if you don't do what we say, we're gonna kill you, and they really don't want to die, so they're like really afraid and like trying to follow orders, be like good recruits and stuff.
So the entities that are part of the cluster that's affecting Jody, they have their bosses, so to speak. They're reptilian that are threatening and dominating them.
Yes.
Male domination sort of trip going there too.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
And specifically the cluster around her head.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I used the galactic vacuum to remove the anti-cluster that had like all those like fear of male domination and stuff, and I transmuted them to get them into a better place to become better beings and all. And I'm looking at this reptilian, so it seems like they have like this sort of construct or mechanism, and the way it works is it's like programming. If something happens, then this, and basically if it's as if the whole humanity is being monitored 24/7. All their thoughts, all of their emotions, how they feel, what they eat, like everything. And people need to have specific like perks or traits or events happening in their life, like a loss of certain things involved in a certain relationship. And it's just like there's like AR or whatever, and it's basically there's tons of programs of what kind of traits you need to have, what kind of stuff need to happen in your life, so that you would get or acquire this kind of entities. And there's like lots of these. If you get abused by these people, you're gonna get this kind of entities. If you get like headaches or like worries or concerns, you're gonna get this kind of entities, and there are just tons of them. And specifically with the person we're working on with today, is like having certain losses, having like failure, not being wanted, not being approved of, like with all those, there's a specific cluster like of entities that like cause domination, control, and these are the ones like being chosen to like come and mess with you. At least for the specific like issues, but there's probably more than that. But I'm just saying like it's huge.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you learn about these things, you study about these things, and you read it from different authors and psychics and spiritual people that teach this sort of thing about entities and what happens, the galactic war, and when the planet gets won over, it gets beat, it gets controlled and dominated, mind controlled and stuff. I've always thought that stuff was going on in ancient history or in some other planet, some far, far away place. It never occurred to me that those techniques for mind control and monitoring the population was going on right now on Earth, right now with that kind of high tech. I mean, I've heard the high tech stuff, this sort of story before, but I never heard it's going on right now to us Earth humans. I haven't heard from anybody but maybe Andrew Bartzis, the galactic historian. He talks about these time wars and timeline wars and these sort of like satellite AI things that are monitoring the consciousness and the state of mind and the state of consciousness of every individual on Earth. So
yeah.
It's very interesting. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I feel like getting rid of this mechanism will not affect just one person, but quite a few who are being affected by those things. So like I'll probably want to work that like not specifically like getting rid of things that are like messing with our client today, but also going on a bigger scale, just to get rid of the whole thing.
Sure.
Seeing what kind of effects it has on the whole humanity.
So we'll track it from first with Jody and then kind of look at the spread, how it spreads out to other people.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, like, just like getting rid of the whole mechanism all at once and stuff. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen the video where like the Earth with other planets are like going like a spiral, like through outer space? So I'm looking at this like planet. It's pretty big, and it's like a spaceship. It outside looks like like lots of like these mountains and dust and other things, like it's just like abandoned, like no life there. But I'm like no, something is in there, and I like go inside, and it's as if like it's just massive, never-ending cities and realms and different things. It's like the very surface is like what it looks like outside, and then everything in it to the core. It's just like computers and like all their spaceships and cities and towns and like industries or factories, whatever, like just machines and other stuff. It's like I don't know, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. And so like in there like as for like monitoring people. Like the whole system is to like messing with beings. It's not just people. It's not just like humans. It's our ETs and our beings out there.
Does it seem like an AI thing or a construct of
That
an
thing is
organic?
it's both. The whole planet is like a construct or whatever, like like a
Uh,
flying spaceship or whatever. But there's both reptilians, AI, like
is it like
various stuff.
there's one concept is like an eggshell, an empty eggshell, and on inside of the inside of the eggshell, you can walk on the inside surface, kind of, but it's not like that. It's more like the whole thing is honeycombed, and it's like just full of levels and compartments and stuff, just all through the whole planet.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird. Um, it's like those weird, like I mean, like I don't know, like where specifically India or some other poor places where there's just those tons of shacks that store next to each other.
Yeah, stacked one after another on top of each other and
Yeah,
compact, real. Yeah.
pretty much. Except in this place, it's all super high tech, and people there don't need much space. They're not like humans like who need like luxurious mansions for one person.
Yeah.
It's like everyone just a little pod to sleep in there. Everything else like just workplace and different things. Massive one after another. Just like these like a spaceship looking like room with like
Mm-hmm.
a pod inside where they can like sleep if they need, but the rest is like like every single place will have a thing like where you can attach yourself to a computer and like connect to all the data and get like all the information. It's like literally like a matrix. You connect yourself and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you read the news, you get all the recent updates, you get all the recent stuff. It's like it's crazy. And that's all like beings who are like there's like massive control things
Yeah.
regarding like spaceships, regarding airplanes, or like beings and races and stuff. And they all like each of the leaders like because there's like a huge hierarchy going, and each of the leaders will have like like okay, my grunts and with 50,000 grays or whatever will affect like Earth and specifically humanity, and they're gonna have a program of what kind of entities, what kind of traits, what kind of things need to happen for them to trigger a thing where like more entities will be launched and stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole mechanism is like monitoring system. It's like control system where they can like cause like this sort of what we call like Murphy's law, attracting just like the worst stuff like no matter how hard we
Mm-hmm.
try. Like
Yeah.
they literally set it up like they're watching us 24/7, all of us, and they can like okay, this is what they want, we're gonna mess with it. Oh, that's where they're going, like let's do this. And they're all just having fun, that's their thing, like they're just gonna mess with us, like get some loot or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
it's big.
Wow. It kind of reminds me of the Neo Matrix pod stuff,
Yeah,
but instead of being asleep in their pod, they can actually get up and go to work and then come back into their pod and hook in, or go to their workstation and hook in to the pod,
pretty
sort of thing
much,
like that.
pretty much.
Yeah. It also makes me yeah, get a different perspective on human and humanity and life in the multiverse or not the universe. And it's like we think we're like some kind of important beings. We like to think that, and in some ways that's true. But there are other beings out there that are using us like slaves and batteries, and like we would use an army of a million nanobots in the body. But there's some programmer outside the physical body that injected nanobots in there. But he's controlling all those nanobots. He's in complete control of that. This is what he does for whatever reason. It's kind of like that, but they have got humans in other realms and other places using advanced technology, using us by the millions. Got us controlled. Is that what you're sort of seeing and
Pretty
looking at?
much, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm getting to.
So anyway, we just like found some story of like how they're connected with the lore, with the whole structure and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
right now, like the most important thing is like disconnecting Jodie from it all, and the
Mm-hmm.
rest is like humanity, and then we'll
Yeah,
go from that.
excellent, good.
But with all that, like like I look at the hierarchy, and it seems like everyone who's working in there is being dominated. They have no rights to talk it up or like speak their own mind or like just like simple slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think like that's also like partly of being in the effects or whatever.
Yeah,
At least a reoccurring theme.
yeah, yeah. The Archon hierarchical enslavement
Yeah.
system doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter if you're a highest general. you're still part of the system,
Yeah.
and you got a boss, and you don't have like human rights or rights like we like to think we have. What's that?
I'm looking like it seems like the whole planet like the spaceship, that structure is like Station 53.
Oh my God, I have a lot of stations, right? Uh-oh. Just when you think it was couldn't get any worse.
About that.
Okay, station 53. Good to know. Can continue. That. What was that? I'm curious.
Oh,
Just zeroing in.
oh yeah, like like this big planet in the multiverse, and then there's this no sound, and the whole thing goes exploding in pieces.
Oh, was that you blowing that shit up?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what that was. I could feel it. I felt a disturbance in the force, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's like watching those movies or whatever where like everything's quiet and it's all of a sudden it like blows up or somewhere in the background. So I was like, I'm looking at this like like what's the best way? Like so
That fucking just blow the motherfucker up.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
good. There's a lot of that shit going down. There's a war going on. Okay,
yeah. So
continue.
do the cleanup.
Yeah, clean up crew. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I was like removing entities, and like like everything like connected to the whole machine with like whole structure and stuff. And I was like going back. I was like, as I cleared the cluster from her head, and I was like looking at more. And I remember like in the previous session before we,
Yeah, last time we checked
Yeah,
into her
yeah.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
last time we checked, there was like that instance where I picked up that in the incarnation when like there's two beings that want to take the body, the good one, the bad one.
Yeah.
And basically the bad one is in a hurry, like hey, free vessel, I can use it to mess it up or whatever, and like get some connections or whatever. And Jody prevents that. She's like, I'm gonna sacrifice because it's a wrong time, wrong body, but I'm gonna come in here and keep it safe and whatever. And through it all, that being never left. So what you picked up is when I like I'm looking at stuff and like that being never left. He's always close to Jody. He's always like there competing, messing, and like trying to stop her, like always trying to be the one. And she's always feeling that unnatural source of like being suppressed, being pushed, all the stuff.
Oh, yeah,
from
yeah,
the
that
dark
makes
being.
sense. Give it a little backstory for Jody, because we sort of covered it the other time, but are like, Phil, and how did it start? What did you spot about her and the story?
Yeah, Jack mentioned that another psychic had a read that like her parents wanted a boy, but she was born as a girl. And as we were scanning and looking into that incident, I saw like two beings who chose the body. Like hey, we have a free vessel, let's come in. And so one being that wasn't Jody was on the way to get the vessel. This is her body, but she wasn't fast enough. And this bad being that like hey, is suppressive, angry, like one of those darker forces. They can't.
A controlling, masculine, dominating prick sort of thing.
Yeah, and that being like it's like dark side. They can have their connections really fast. They know each other, like like all this stuff. So it's gonna work out. So that being is on the way, free vessel, like is gonna take it, and he's about to take the body when Jody is somewhere close and like hey, I won't let it happen. So she comes in and takes the body, but it's the wrong time and the wrong place. So she basically sacrifices herself in a way like it's not to her advantage.
Like sort of like she had another plan, like another vessel, another time to come in, but she saw this bad guy. I remember the story you were telling me the last time. Bad guy's coming in to take this body, this vessel that is now Jody's, but he was coming in. She saw this and tried to help in some way or prevent the dark being from taking the body, even though it wasn't really the body she was going to take. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so she ends up taking this body.
Yeah.
And now you're finding out what?
That dark being that wanted to take the body, he never left. He's always close. He's always with her. Like right now, like he's kind of like angry, jealous or something, and he's like messing with her. Like like hey, and he's the one that has this very strong masculine dominant power, and he's the one that's like pushing her, and she's feeling it, not from
Mhm.
really the people around her or anything. It's really that dominant being that's always constantly next to her, messing with her all the time.
Uh-huh.
And she's basically like, it's as if like you have like energy bubble around you, and that being is in it, and that being is like it's overwhelming, and like she's like sort of like energetically kind of crushed by that being,
Yeah.
you know.
There's also, is it also like the dominant, it's not in every case, but sometimes there'll be a dominant father dominates the boy or the child, and then the child grows up to dominate his or her children. That they pick up the character traits of the winning personality or character in their life, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do my scan, like check like for like what's the story, what's going on, and like find out what's up.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. Seems like that being is like a cockroach. So like we noticed that, and we're like, oh, like gonna talk about it. So now I go to Jody and like I scan her like to see that entity or like that conscious like being next to her
Mm-hmm. Gone.
disappears, and I'm tracking it and seeing like like it did like where is it, like is it like camouflaging, like becoming invisible and gone completely, or is it like like, hey, I'm gonna get fucked, like I'm gonna get caught, and then he leaves completely somewhere far away, like I'm looking like what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, he left somewhere far, far
Yeah.
away.
Okay,
Exactly what happened.
All right, so
You want to go snoop and track, see if you can track him down, like you got those magical, glowy trail things?
yeah,
Okay, let's do that.
I'll do that.
I'll help you look.
Okay.
Okay. Look into the past or future. Someone can time that one. That right there. What was it?
That was a good tip. I was like, look into the past. I'm like, oh, time travel back. Like,
Yeah, you nailed it.
okay, that was easy.
What was that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at that being. It reminds me of that fish that lives very, very deep in the ocean. It's that has a light bulb or something.
Yeah, I know the
Yeah.
one.
And so that being like like I'm looking at it, and it's a complete black form, like a black mist or whatever, like looking like a person, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look into like who's that, like like reaching deep inside, and there's nothing, and I sort of just like pop myself into his body, and it's like inside himself there's a whole new universe there. It's like he has an own realm where he can disappear. So us not being able to track, he basically has a body, goes all inside of his own realm, and completely out of anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like able to track it, and so, as I'm there, I'm feeling this like very, very tense pressure on my head, like like what's that? So I get like what are you doing? And basically, I guess the same sense of that fish is like using the light bulb to attract people, attract those, and whenever he catches it,
Mm-hmm.
he can eat it, heat them or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's the same stuff, like like trapping them in his realm to not let him go or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so like that's what I felt like was being done to me.
Yeah.
Like he was like trying to trap me or like get rid of me, and like so yeah, not happening.
Good.
But he doesn't want to let go though. Like it's like he's very, very tightly holding on to Jody.
Uh-huh.
So like I'll try to get rid of him.
Yeah. Look at, maybe you can spot the first time you connect. Well, do we know the first time you connected with Jody was at that time when they tried to get into the same body, or was there an earlier similar time?
That's I'll have to check it out.
Okay.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Yeah, that was the first time when they were like getting into the vessel. That
Uh-huh.
was the first time they met. Yeah, I think I'm getting similar vibes. Everything has to be his way. I'm like looking at stuff and
Mhm.
like like looking at why doesn't he want to hold like let go of Jody, like choose another vessel or do something else, and like really like it reminds me of that, like I don't know, kid or a very stubborn teenager who don't want to do anything, like everything has to be their way, and they're like really, really going for it.
Mhm.
And I picked up, and like I think Jack mentioned the same thing, like like as a command or whatever, like it has to be Jody's way. So like I
Mhm.
think it's not as much Jody, as much as like that being is really like always there, causing it, the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
So I'll look for the more
Yeah.
stuff.
My way is it kind of? It's going to go my way.
Yeah.
It's got to go my way, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, like I was like talking and trying to like unmark the being, but it would like reappear like I'm deleting like reinstatement clause, but that's still there and stuff. So like usual techniques, like like using galactic vacuum or stuff ain't working, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just be creative. So I turned everything into a video game where I like basically like beat the crap out of him, and it's just all a game. It's like it's a play between two of us with a rule like whoever wins gets their way.
Okay. Yeah, he's going for that.
Yeah. So we're like playing a game like I just like picked the first one I remember, like Dragon Ball, like one of those like where you just like use pick your character and like fight the other hero. So I beat him up, and he's like the kid like who was very stoic, like hey, I'm not going. This is the one I want. Like he doesn't care about other bodies. This is the one he wants. He's going for it. So like we have a match, and he loses, and I create another video game world where I put him in there, and like this is your place now, kid. So I trapped him in another world.
Good for you. And that's how it starts. The best of intentions.
Pretty much.
Well, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right. Feeling pretty good. We got a good.
Yeah, I
Good
can
person,
like we removed entities. We found like some passive stuff. I guess now I also removed some agreements. So like the last step I can do is like gather energy back, and also look for some soul fragments and stuff. Get it back, and we can wrap it.
Okay, good deal. What was that?
I like getting Joe's energy back. Like like it's literally like having a little closed box with a rat in it, and it keeps shaking while it's closed. So that being that's like in that
He's still trying to get out.
pretty much it was funny. So I'll continue my process.
Here's the thing you could imagine putting around that little box with the little rattly mouth rats in there. Create a simulation reality. So if he does break out of it, he thinks he's out. and he's just in another weird place. But it's a kind of a copy of what he had expected.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it begins again. That's how it works. Anyway, it's just an idea.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like I'm like getting their energy back and stuff, and it seems like that being was always like causing that domination, like really intense energy around her and stuff, like as if she was the one being controlled, and she basically picks up the intentions of that person, and that guy, as if like he's reflecting everything that's good. When there's love coming in, when there's appreciation and other stuff, he's like shoving it off.
Deflecting. Yeah.
Yes, deflect, like sort of. So make sure like nothing really gets to her, and like she's unable to feel it 100%.
Yeah.
And never gets enough.
Mm-hmm.
So like she deep inside she needs it, but she's not able to get it because of that being. So like now, I found out what happening was like getting those parts back and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all the times it was supposed to get to her and was deflected. I'm grabbing all of that and like giving it her back.
Oh, good. Good deal.
I'm getting those parts back, and I'm also sensing like in her life she would probably fight for things or try to make things her own way, but it wasn't really her doing that. It's like that, and like that being like who was like always messing with her. He was always trying to affect things and like make it his own way, be the dominant one and all this stuff. So that would make sense. But yeah, like I got a lot of stuff back. Removed entities, removed that core being that was like messing with her. Looked into some bathtubs, so I think it's some good work.
Yeah, this seemed like a good place to wrap it up. And
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for checking in and looking into that.
Sure. Other than that, we probably would go deeper into other past lives. But it's like triggering a whole new beehive,
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably better not.
Okay. Oh. So do you want to give a recap, or do you feel like we've pretty much done that already?
But I think that we've pretty much done that already.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
We can check for one more read. I saw this in the cluster on her like lower stomach.
Lower stomach.
Yeah, like I've cleared the upper like on the head. I'm not sure if I cleared out the stomach area.
I don't think so.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I can check again and see what's up. Alright.
Yeah.
Could be the ache, could be other feelings like of abuse and stuff. Um, and I'm picking up that some of these entities, they were the ones abused as well. Like in past, we can like say like quite a few lifetimes ago when they were people, when they were whatever kind of beings they were abused in some way, are killed or like stabbed in the stomach or like raped or whatever, and all of them have the same common thing, like like lower stomach area, like pain or something's like going on there,
Mm-hmm.
and with all the lifetimes as they live and keep dying and become nothing, like up to the entity, like from super conscious being to the point of like BTs or entities or whatever. They're the ones that like find Jody in a similar area, like, oh, we can relate, and like safe place. Oh, all of us feel the same way, like no one's
Yeah.
different and stuff. And so like that's what we are up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Let's see if you can break them up, wake them up, and get them to move along.
Yeah.
Okay. That area sounds like it's between the two chakras, the sex chakra and power chakra.
Mhm.
Or it's called the sex chakra, the second chakra, and the third chakra, which is the power or authority chakra. So that would tie into the domination stuff.
Good point. Good point.
So you can look into that, see if there's any relationships or any connections in that way.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like there's that sense of wanting kids or having wanting to have something of your own, and all of these beings like I'll be the one, and they
Yeah.
all want to be with her. They
Uh-huh.
all want to be like so close to her and all this stuff, like under her shelter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they're just like keep gathering up, but they're not helping,
Or even like um, an attempt to be in the womb, but not in lower stomach area.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Or right there lining up, ready to go when the opportunity arises, sort of thing.
Yeah. But more like not like even like to incarnate. These
Oh.
are just like entities who are like
Oh.
like they just want to be close. They're like, oh, like I'll be your kid or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and they're like like in the stomach area and you know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Are they waking up? Are you dealing with them yet, or are you
I just found
spotting
out
them?
like what's up.
Okay. Good deal.
So there's like 13,578 of these entities.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, like yeah, they're all like seems like they're all one like want to be kids, want to have care, want to have love and stuff and all that. So like I'm creating another realm where I'm gonna take all of them
Mm-hmm.
and like create some sort of like a bigger loving being who's gonna be there for them, so that they would like feel nourished to the point where they start growing in consciousness and just get back to who they were. Like it's gonna help them to remember their past lives and different things.
How about that black dark guy that was bugging? No, that's probably not a good idea. That's probably not a good idea. Okay, we'll do it your way.
Okay.
A nice big loving being. I gotcha. Okay.
I'm putting them all in that like realm and just giving them things to do, like so they're all from entity forms. They're getting back their original forms of like or previously who they were.
Mhm.
So there's like lots of different races, and like the whole realm is like pretty big. There's like forests and waterfalls and different things, and
Mhm.
and I was close to mountains and the wind blew and I got cold and
Oh, you
got me shake like oops, too real.
Yeah. So you're seeing the realm visually real,
Oh,
it's touchy
yeah.
feely real.
Everything. Like I created a few puppies and I'm like this is fun. I want to be there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm. Well, when you do come back, bring all your everything you think you need here to be a person. Bring it back. Don't be giving away your own stuff for these guys unless you think that's the right way to do it.
Okay.
I don't know. This is getting a little deep here. Okay, continue.
So I basically like closed that realm with entities as well. Just giving them time to grow and get back their real forms and get back to living as consciousness and doing things. I got like missing parts of the Jodie, like missing soul fragments and stuff, and got her energy back regarding the whole like stomach thing, and